All right, wall fans, common sensors, social media world, and of course, podcast consumers. Welcome to the live feed for episode 116 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. If you didn't see the teaser, you might be a little confused because it's not Thursday. I know, it's very confusing. It is Wednesday, but because it is Thanksgiving week, we are not going to record on Thursday. That time is reserved for my family. I've got a beautiful 3-year-old at home and a beautiful wife who is actually in the kitchen right now prepping food for like 8 to 10 people tomorrow. So we don't do these things on Thanksgiving. I don't think we did a Wednesday episode last year, but we have done it previously. We've been at this for, 3 years now, over 3 years. So we have done this before. I know it's a little confusing. For those of you out there that barely catch the live feed or any of the YouTube stuff, it's not going to make a difference because it's still going to get posted on Friday. You're still going to see it pop up in whatever podcast app, whatever you use. You're still going to see it there, so it's not going to make a difference to those people. But however, if you're someone that likes to watch the live feed, or if you're someone that watches it after the fact, it is coming up a little earlier this week because it's Thanksgiving week. That being said, we've got a lot of stuff to get into. It might be a slightly shorter show, just depending, because I've got some Thanksgiving-themed stuff, and we'll see how it goes. That being said, let's get into it. All right, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, welcome to episode 116. That's right, 116 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I'm, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and it is Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there, and we're going to have some Thanksgiving-themed things throughout this episode. And we're actually, for those of you that only listen, this makes no difference to you, but we're recording on a Wednesday as opposed to a Thursday because Thanksgiving is Thursday, and I'm not spending that time outside of my family, and we do it on Wednesday instead. But of course, if you're listening to this, that makes no difference to you. You don't even know when we recorded it. It just pops up in your podcast stuff, and then you're good to go. All right, we always kick things off with our social plugs. You can keep up with us during episodes, before episodes, after episodes, whenever you so please. And you can do that in multiple locations. One of those would be Twitter. Head on over to Twitter. Follow our official Go Tell It to the Wall Twitter account, which is @TellTheWallPod. That's right, @TellTheWallPod. You can also follow my own personal Twitter account, which is @MagicMuppet. Follow both of those. You know you're following a bunch of people on Twitter anyway. You may as well add a couple more accounts to that. We've got some Twitter news this evening, actually, that some people may not be aware of, and it's interesting. Kind of one of those things you don't think of when it comes to social platforms, but it came up recently with Twitter, and we're going to talk about that. You can also follow us on Facebook. That's right, we are currently live on Facebook right now with episode 116. So head on over to facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. Like our page, check back often for all kinds of updates. That's going to keep you up to date on all new episodes, all new content coming up for the YouTube channel, and new blog posts, all that good stuff. So make sure you head on over to facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall and click that like button on our page. And of course, YouTube, which I just mentioned, we are on YouTube. That's where you're going to find all of our beer reviews. All of our live feeds get posted on YouTube as well as our parenting clips, mental health clips, all that good stuff. So make sure you head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, and subscribe to our page. Watch those videos. Tell us how great they are, how bad they are, whichever. As long as you're watching them, I'm good. I'm happy. And of course, most importantly, all inclusive of those things I just mentioned would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's right, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Head on over there, bookmark it. You're going to find links to all those things I just mentioned, as well as blog posts, photos you're not going to find anywhere else, all kinds of good stuff up there. And of course, a link to our Patreon campaign if you want to support us financially. Every little bit helps, so please check out our Patreon campaign. You can get all kinds of cool little perks on there, and every dollar helps. If you've got $1, please help us out with that. If you've got a lot of money, help us out with more. That's how starving artists are making a living these days, is things like Patreon and coffee and all that good stuff. So please help keep the studio running. Help keep this running smoothly and moving along by supporting us on Patreon. And I need to just put this in the opening from now on. And I'm trying to populate maybe some podcast stuff there. But if you're an Instagram user, definitely follow my own personal Instagram account, which is SoCal Sean. That's right, at SoCal Sean, SoCalSean. You're gonna find right now. You're gonna find mostly kid pictures as well as a lot of concert photos. So especially if you're into concerts, most of the music that I talk about on the podcast, follow the SoCal Sean account on Instagram, and I'm working on populating more Go Tell It to the Wall stuff to actually onto that account, because right now, like I said, it's mostly Instagram's photos. It's hard to really integrate a lot of that stuff, but we're working on getting some stuff integrated on there, because I know a lot of people really prefer to use Instagram. I've been using a lot more lately. For me, each like platform has its purpose. I don't use a lot of Twitter. I enjoy Facebook because it keeps me up to date on a lot of bands and things I follow. And then I like Instagram because it's pretty much relatives and friends and their cute photos, as well as photos from, like, you know, celebs. Do we even call them celebrities anymore? People that I follow. So I do enjoy the Instagram as well. And as I mentioned, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you are all enjoying the week. Eat lots of turkey, do all the things, spend some time with family this week. Please make sure you do that. We're going to get into a little bit more of that in the weekly rant. That's going to be fun. And of course, the beer this week. That's right, the beer this week. We've got another tasty brew from Samuel Adams. That's right, Sam Adams. They're out of Boston. This is the New England IPA. That's right, the New England IPA. For those of you not super familiar with the IPAs, these New England IPAs tend to be a little hazier, a little juicier compared to a West Coast IPA. If you're mainly a West Coast IPA drinker, you're going to get some slight differences there. In fact, it even says on here hazy and juicy. That's right. It's definitely not as juicy as a lot of these super hazy IPAs that have been popping up from craft breweries, but it's still juicier than your typical West Coast IPA. Coming in at 6.8% alcohol by volume. Very smooth, though. It's a very smooth 6.8% and very, very drinkable. I don't think you'd want to drink a ton of them because it is a little bit stronger than your typical beer, but that's about average for an IPA. So check them out if you're a Sam Adams fan. This is probably not one that I would recommend to our on-air producer, Chris, simply because it's a little hoppy for his taste. That I'm sure of. But it is tasty. I'm enjoying it. And if you're not familiar with this, Sam Adams has their own slightly different cans. They're a little bit different from most cans that you're going to find from any brewery. Definitely from like a Budweiser or one of those, but even a craft brewery, it's a little bit different. It's got kind of a bigger lip on the top here. I don't know what purpose that serves, but it's funny because if you're a regular beer or even a soda drinker, you notice it, you're like, ooh, this feels a little different. But it's very good. Very tasty. Sam Adams New England IPA. You can probably find this really nationwide in a grocery store. I think it's a new one of theirs, but Sam Adams is nationwide, despite the fact that they are still officially an independent craft brewery. They are part of the Independent Brewers Association because they're still independently owned. No, there's not a big beer company that owns them, which is always weird. I think I've said that on this podcast a bunch of times, just because they have such large, wide distribution. So you don't think about that. You're like, well, clearly they must be owned by InBev or one of the other big... Nope, still completely independent. They just have a large operation that happens to be independent, so that's always fun. Check them out, Sam Adams. Everyone knows what Sam Adams is. That's what's funny. Even a casual beer drinker's like, oh yeah, Sam Adams, you know. So I don't know why I'm like, check out Sam Adams. No, check out the New England IPA from Sam Adams that you can probably find at your local grocery store, regardless of where you are in the country. I don't know about internationally. I don't know how much distribution they get, but yeah. All right, we're going to move along here. It is Thanksgiving week, and this is, of course, going to bring us to the weekly rant for episode 116 of Go Tell It to the Wall. I've actually been sitting on this one for a few weeks now. Been thinking about it. And it's something I'm sure I've casually ranted about on the podcast before. And this one's actually going to go twofold. I want to unpack it a little bit. Now, the first part being Black Friday. I know, Black Friday. And we have all these consumers out there that are hankering for a deal, and they're going to beat the hell out of each other, running through a Walmart and breaking things and just destroying a store or Best Buy or wherever the hell you're going for Black Friday. And that's the way to start your holidays. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Wall fans, common sensors, common sense says that we don't need to do that. We're so focused on consumerism as a society. It's all about things. And that's only gotten worse over the past few years with the emergence of these influencers on social platforms who are trying to sell you everything and also showing you how terrible your life is. Here's the thing, your life's not terrible. Don't look at these cars and these vacations and everything else and think that you're not living life. You don't need to compare to that. And it's the same thing when it comes to materialistic items on Black Friday. There was a time where Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving. It kicked off the holidays, and people spent time with family. And I'm not going to get into semantics of the actual holiday itself, but the point is, it was all about spending time with family. And now it's so focused on material things and consumerism and retail shopping that all of these retail stores are actually opening at like 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving. So their employees don't get to enjoy time with their families either. In fact, it's interesting. My father is working on Thanksgiving, interestingly enough. He's working. He's in his 70s. He's going to be working on Thanksgiving, unfortunately. But think about that. If you're one of those people that gets up at the crack of dawn, or you finish your Thanksgiving meal and then you go stand in line at a retail store, is it really worth it? To save that little bit of money, is it worth it? And is it really important that you get that new electronic? Because you know that's what most people are going for. They're going out there for the Beats headphones and all this other bullshit that you really don't need. You don't need it. Especially Beats headphones. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that's just silly. But I'm sick of the Black Friday stuff. Everything revolves around things. And you know there are people out there that are neglecting their family because they're so concerned with retail shopping. And then we've also extended Black Friday. Now Black Friday gets ridiculous. It's more and more ridiculous every year. And over the past few years, we started this thing, Cyber Monday. And there's also Small Business Saturday, which that kind of sits in a different thing. I think that's a way of combating these big box stores that are able to make a ton of money and just have people cycle through their stores. So I'm not talking about necessarily Small Business Saturday, but Cyber Monday. Everything revolves around things. Everything revolves around gifts. And you know, and the thing is, I remember years and years ago talking to a couple different people, and they were going out shopping on Black Friday. They weren't even buying gifts. They were buying things for themselves. You know? And here's the thing. If that's your prerogative, that's fine. But if it is your prerogative, I want you to sit down, especially on Thanksgiving night. I agree, Chris. I never go out on Black Friday, especially on Thanksgiving night, and ask yourself, what are your priorities? What are your priorities at this time of year, especially if you've got kids, for the love of God? That should be your priority. Your family should be your priority. Quality time. Things fade. Especially things nowadays. Your phone's only good for like a year. There's going to be a new computer out less than a year after you buy a new computer. Televisions, forget about that. Televisions may as well be single use nowadays. Trust me, I know. I just had to buy a new one a couple weeks ago. They're not built to last. These things are not built to last. But we're so driven by consumerism that that's all we focus on. And here's the thing, enjoy the holidays. And then on top of that, once the holidays really hit, and it's already starting with all of the Christmas commercials, the retail commercials and everything else. And actually, there was a viral post that was going around. This little girl wrote a letter to Santa, or a Christmas list, you know? And the Christmas list totaled something like something crazy, like $14,000. And I saw that, and it's like, yes, that's shocking. But at the same time, you look at these commercials on television. There's a Walmart commercial right now where it's two parents, and they're walking around the store, and they're literally putting every most expensive toy they can find into the cart. Just piling it into the cart for one kid. The end of the commercial, it's one kid. A very small kid, too. This is the precedent that we set for our children. This is a precedent, especially considering how many children out there, families can't afford all these gifts. They can't. But we're setting that precedent with these ad campaigns. We're shoving it on all these kids' face, and not just these kids, but the parents. The parents that sit back and say, well, I can't afford to get all these things. And then we're shocked when a kid writes a Christmas list with stuff on it like Gucci slides. I've got a little spoiler for all of you out there. Everyone listening, those Gucci slides that cost like $1,000 that everyone has to have, the fucking Gucci slides, those because it has a green and red fucking stripe on it. Yeah, you can go get some Nike ones for like $15. There's a Big Five down the street from my house, $15, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you, I've tried on the fucking Gucci slides. The Nike slides, the sandals, more comfortable. They just don't have the stupid green and red stripe and the G on it, you know? And why are we so focused on those? Influencers. People on social platforms are telling these kids, telling all of us that we have to have these fucking Gucci slides. We need to have every toy in the store at Walmart. And what I have to say to that? Calm the hell down. Calm down. I talked about over-emotional commercials a couple weeks ago. This is just as bad, if not worse. Because this is affecting our children. They're seeing these things. What do you want them to learn from that? To learn that their parents are not great parents, or that Santa Claus doesn't love them enough because they're not getting all of these toys that they see on television. That's the precedent we're setting for our children and our families. And it's gross. It's disgusting, and it absolutely has to stop. Absolutely has to stop. I love that one, Chris. Chris is bringing up a Peanuts reference. I never get what I really want. Real estate. And that's from Lucy in Peanuts. Speaking of Peanuts, I'm actually going to watch the Thanksgiving special for the first time with my daughter tomorrow. My mother, my daughter's grandmother, actually got a set of them with the Great Pumpkin, Christmas, and also has a Thanksgiving one. I've actually never watched the Thanksgiving one, so I'm going to enjoy that with my daughter tomorrow. I will say one more thing on the over-consumerism that we've created in the society. If you have the kind of means to do that, go out and help someone else. And I'm not saying go buy somebody Gucci slides. Help others. Use your means and your platform to help others. That's what's more important at the holidays. All right, moving on, some trending on social. Can you guys tell I'm a little passionate about that bullshit? Like, it's bullshit to me. You're talking about a kid that's been on both sides. My family was very well off when I was very, very young. And then we hit a point where we were not very well off anymore, unfortunately. So I remember Christmases with gifts stacked to the ceiling, and I remember Christmases where we just didn't get a lot. And I enjoyed every single Christmas that I had growing up. Absolutely did. All right, trending on social. These are very Thanksgiving-themed social trending things that we're going to get into tonight. First one would be hashtag War on Thanksgiving. That's right, the War on Thanksgiving. This was, of course, spawned by something the Orange Menace said at a rally or press conference. I can't even keep up with that gas bag anymore. Like, it's just exhausting to keep up with the lies that come out of his mouth that just drop out of his mouth on a minute by minute basis. I can't do it anymore. But he was doing something at a rally and something about a war on Thanksgiving. And here's a spoiler alert. There's no war on Thanksgiving. Just no war. If there is a war on Thanksgiving, it's the consumerism that's killing Thanksgiving. And hello, Orange Menace. Yeah, you are part of that problem. So don't even get me started on this war on Thanksgiving shit. But I will share this tweet with everyone from Brad G. And I quote, "Does anyone know where the war on Thanksgiving is being held? I've got my electric carving knife ready to go. I'm also bringing a gravy bowl just in case." End quote. That's kind of like, we lost a lot of turkeys in the war on Thanksgiving this year. It's amazing. These things just, and of course people ran with the hashtag. Have fun with it. I mean, if you're enjoying this, have fun with the hashtag. It's so ridiculous that the guy is a walking hashtag, the Orange Menace. Walking hashtag. It's like, I think if you followed him around for 2 days, you could put together enough hashtags for the entire year. Just plan them out, you know. Here's the hashtags for the whole year. It's amazing. All right, hashtag rejected Macy's Day Parade floats. Hashtag rejected Macy's Day Parade floats. Now, this makes me, I want to unpack that a little bit. This makes me a little bit sick, but I do have to give a little bit of kudos to the Macy's marketing staff. It's not Macy's Day. It's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But this is something that's happened since I was a kid. People are like, it's the Macy's Day Parade. It's the Macy's Day Parade. It's fucking Thanksgiving, people. I've already hit my F-bomb quota tonight. Sorry, guys. It's Thanksgiving. It's not the Macy's Day Parade. However, we're having fun with this hashtag rejected Macy's Day Parade floats. I did enjoy this one from Pieces Active, and I quote, "Anything filled with Trump's hot air. You don't want that floating anywhere." The one that came to my mind, of course, hashtag rejected Macy's Day Parade floats, would be a whoopee cushion. I would enjoy seeing a whoopee cushion floating down Madison Avenue there. Is it Madison Avenue? Chris, help me out with that. Whichever street they go down there in New York by Macy's. I've literally walked down that street. I can't keep track of all the damn streets there in New York. I've never lived there. There's no reason for me to keep track of it. Nothing against New York. I'm just like, oh, where am I? Okay, somebody just tell me, okay, I'm heading this way. Cool. It's New York. That's how I get around New York. But the whoopee cushion, I think, is a great idea. And I think, not previously rejected, but we will probably never see another Barney parade float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And if you're not aware why, just go Google that. You'll enjoy it. I mean, it's very sad. Don't Google it with your kids if your kids are Barney fans, but Google it because it is pretty funny. All right, another Thanksgiving-themed hashtag. Hashtag things to stuff besides the turkey. That's right. Hashtag things to stuff besides the turkey. Now, I came across this one, and at first I was like, oh, this could be fun. People are going to have fun with this. And then I scrolled a little bit and I realized, oh wow, that's disgusting. People have sick minds. So prepare yourself if you're going to check that one out, because I'm not even going to go ahead and read any of these, because stuffing things, figure out where people went with that, of course. Hashtag things to stuff besides the turkey. I genuinely thought it would be fun. And I mean, there's a couple fun things in there, but I was just, oh no. Oh my. Luckily, my 3-year-old's not near me while I'm doing show research today. All right, another one moving along. Hashtag turkey insurance entry. Hashtag turkey insurance entry. So, this one was created by Pringles. If you're familiar with Pringles, the chips, which is funny, I was reading on here, and they're not technically chips. Someone was like, they're biscuits, and I was like, it's got to be some English person that's like trying to. They're not chips, they're biscuits. Well, you're thinking of French fries. Who knows? We're not going to get into all the semantics of that. But this was created by Pringles, and it is very clever. Again, shout out to the Pringles marketing team here. It's ridiculous, but it is kind of brilliant because people ran with it. Hashtag Pringles and hashtag turkey insurance entry. And the reason is, this is all started because everyone assumes that people can't cook a turkey. Turkey's not that hard to cook. But you always see in movies, turkey got burned, blah, 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 turkey's not cooked. So the turkey insurance from Pringles is roast turkey flavored Pringles. That's right, roasted turkey flavored Pringles. Inventive. That's a good one too, Chris. Roasted turkey Pringles. That's literally what happened here. They invented a problem and then solved it. I gotta be honest, I enjoy Pringles. I'm not eating some roasted turkey Pringles. They probably taste horrible. Now again, if one of our Thanksgiving guests brings some to the house tomorrow, I'll probably try the damn chips. I should, if I'd been prepared enough, I would have went out, picked up a can, and then had it in the studio, and I could have tried it in front of you, and you could literally seen the look on my face when they're terrible or not terrible. Chris, I hope you're still on. I'm sure you're aware of this one too. I've got a lot of Chris stuff tonight, although the next one's really Chris and Bridget. But and I don't know how. Forgive me, Melissa Benoist. She plays Supergirl on the CW series. She actually had an Instagram post this week and spawned this hashtag that's going around on Instagram, or not Instagram, mainly on Twitter right now, probably on Instagram as well. The reason I said Instagram is because she had posted a video of herself talking about this on Instagram, and it's hashtag I stand with Melissa. She came out and talked about domestic violence and how she has been the victim of domestic violence years ago in her life, and she's finally opening up about it. And so a lot of people are tweeting their support for Melissa, and it's really catching fire. And I think this is a great example of a celebrity, someone using their clout, using their platform to bring awareness to a problem. Now, I'm not happy that she had to go through this. However, I'm happy that she's able to open up about this. We're actually going to talk about it a little bit more in mental health, because I think this is something very important to unpack. And I actually, when we get into the details of it, I actually have I've had a similar experience, not to the extent of Melissa, but I've had a similar experience when we get into the details of the domestic abuse that she was going through. And the thing I've been waiting all day to talk to you about, the new trend among many influencers, finger quotes, influencers on the social platforms right now. And I don't know who came up with this, but whoever came up, and here's the thing, I don't condone violence. I don't. But whoever came up with this should be taken out back and shot. Period. And here's the thing. You may say, what are you talking about, Sean? Here's a new trend going around social platforms right now. I'm not even kidding. Brace yourselves, wall fans and common sensors. Butthole tanning. Taint tanning. No, you heard that correctly. Butthole tanning. Asshole tanning. So people are posting on Instagram where they go out on a hike and they're sitting on a rock and they lift their legs in the air and they show their butthole to everybody and everything in order to put some sun on it, and people swear that this is good for you. They swear that this is great for you, and it does. I'm not even going to get into the stupid hipster shit that they were saying that it does. It says, oh, it aligns your blah blah blah. No, it doesn't. What you're doing is you're creating something to have shock value, and then on top of that, here's the thing: we always regress. as a society. It's amazing how we regress as a society. Do you remember, like, there was years ago when people were like, skin cancer is bad for you. Skin cancer is not good. You need to wear sunblock and everything else. You know what another, like, horrible cancer is in this country that a lot of men have to deal with? Women too, but a lot of men especially. Colon cancer. So think about this, wall fans and common sensors. Two bad things. Sun, which is really not great for you in large doses, and your asshole, which is also very prone to cancer. And these influencers on social platforms want you to go put it in the sun. Here's the other ridiculous thing about this, and I know that Chris and Bridget can appreciate this. These influencers are doing this like out on hiking trails and stuff. I'm going to warn all of you out there right now, if there's somebody out there that's doing this butthole tanning, taint tanning, and I'm walking a trail with my kid, and I come around a bend, and you're there with your legs up in the air and your ass just staring at me, I'm going to kick you. I'm just going to kick you as hard as possible. That's what's going to happen. Again, I don't condone violence, but you're showing your asshole to everybody on the trail. Who does this? Who does this? Who does it? Influencers. Influencers. A scourge on society, these influencers. But the good thing about these influencers is, remember, I've talked about this influencer bubble that's going to burst. It's just a matter of time. Well, it has started to burst, wall fans. And I've actually, this has been coming out from a lot of places, but Forbes, where I found some interesting information on this. And it looks like brands and marketing teams are moving away from influencers, these influencers on all these platforms where they have sponsored ads and all this, and they're like, here's free stuff to wear, here's a free vacation, take photos of it, show it to all your followers and all this BS. Brands are moving away from that, and they're moving toward groups. They're moving toward groups instead of just individual influencers. And what that means is communities within social platforms, like Facebook groups. You've probably seen the ad campaigns that Facebook has pushing groups. And here's the thing. I'm always like, stop. You can't even keep the spam off your site. However, I do appreciate the Facebook groups. I have found a new love, outside of live broadcasting the podcast, I found a new love for Facebook over the past few months because I've joined these groups. A lot of them music groups where people have a shared common interest. And you get a lot more positivity out of that. And the debate doesn't get down to like, I'm going to come kick your ass type stuff that you see in a lot of political debates and this kind of BS. The debates are like, well, no, that band sucks. And people are like, well, I think they're good. You can think they suck. You know? So I can totally see this. Can absolutely see this. Brand communities. You know? Everyone is a fan of, the Boston Red Sox. There's a group. Everyone's a fan of Mr. Robot. There's a group. I'm just looking around my studio. Everyone's a fan of Deadpool. There's a group. See, it's like in the movies when people are like, what's your name? And they're trying to give a fake name, and they're like, Pantene. And you're like, okay. And I just look around the studio for random shit. So we're seeing the influencer go away. Never going to completely go away. But with the hiding of the likes that's coming down from Instagram soon, as well as brands, and we're seeing the money shift toward these communities on social platforms as opposed to individual influencers. And here's the thing, you follow the money. That's what you do. Money talks. And a lot of these influencers are probably going to be posting crying videos on YouTube and Instagram and everything else because they're no longer getting a bunch of free shit and only having to work 5 minutes a day. Sorry. Go put some skill behind it. Become a musician or an artist. My influencer friends tend to be musicians, artists, writers, podcasters, broadcasters. Not, oh, look at my ass on Instagram. Have some talent. Don't just have a good-looking ass. I mean, I got a good-looking ass, but I'm not showing it to everybody. I don't. Don't get excited, wall fans. I don't. Even if I did, I wouldn't be showing it to everybody. You can see my awesome beard and my awesome hair. Speaking of which, hair by Amanda Staples here at the Hive in Highland Park. She does a fantastic job. Just got my hair cut, my beard trimmed the other day. I love going to see her. I go to see her once a month. So shout out to Amanda for keeping me as good looking as she can. She's got to work with this, so there's a lot. She's got to do a lot to make this look decent. All right, entertainment news. Moving along here. We're real heavy on a certain thing, and there's some interesting stuff, and also harkening back to some stuff we talked about recently, specifically Disney Plus. Disney Plus and The Simpsons after the backlash, which I talked about on the last podcast or the episode before, one of the last two episodes, how they took the 4x3 format for The Simpsons and stretched it to 16:9, and we're literally cutting out visual jokes from some Simpsons episodes. Well, Disney has listened to the backlash, and in early 2020, all of the Simpsons episodes will be available in their original uncropped 4x3 format. Now, keep in mind, and which I mentioned on the podcast, the episode that we talked about it, the later Simpsons episodes are actually in 16:9. So you're still going to see those in 16:9. We're talking about the early episodes that were designed, were made, animated to be in a 4x3 format on older televisions. I'm aging myself. Like it's funny. It's because we're going to hit a point. I think we're not there yet, but we're going to hit a point where kids are like, televisions were square? We're like, yep. That came up recently. I saw someone posted, totally getting tangented here, and their kid, it was like a tweet or something, and their kid like asked them, because they were like, I'm gonna hang up the phone, and like on a cell phone, and their kid was like, why do you say hang up? And you're just like, oh god, we're getting there. Kids are like, and every generation has this. It's just so funny because certain words like hang up are so ingrained in multiple generations' minds. I mean, we're not just talking like Gen X and Gen Y here. Really, that's even baby boomers. You know, there's a lot of generations that just are so used to hang up. You know, and really we haven't been hanging up a lot of phones for a long time, because cordless phones came out in the 80s. Growing up, I had phones to hang up and stuff, but we always had a cordless phone, so you're like pressing a button. You're not hanging a phone on a thing. Yeah, it's funny. Just makes you feel old. More Disney Plus news. The Mandalorian. I know you've watched this, Chris. I have not yet watched it. The Mandalorian has actually not broken a record. That is incorrect. It has actually dethroned another popular streaming television show. That would be Stranger Things. So for many, many, many weeks, Stranger Things, and this is according to Parrot Analytics, which is an analytic company, just recently, The Mandalorian dethroned Stranger Things as the #1 original streaming original streaming television show. I always feel weird saying television, because it's like, but original streaming television show, which, as I said, was Stranger Things. It is now The Mandalorian. This makes sense to me. I haven't seen it yet, but people are just losing their minds over it. Now, and of course, Stranger Things had just moved down to #2. We'll get a new Stranger Things season when season 4 comes out. I haven't even started season 3 yet. But we'll get another Stranger Things season, and who knows, maybe Stranger Things moves back in there. But Mandalorian just killing it. I know everyone loves it. I haven't heard anyone say bad things about The Mandalorian. I haven't heard anybody, and I've heard a lot of people talking about it. I just haven't watched it myself. It's on my list, but it's a long list of things. I always wonder this with people. I have friends that watch like everything under the sun. You know, Chris is definitely not one of them, because Chris was telling me a week or so ago that he had to wait for the kids to go to head out for the day, and he was watching it at like 8 in the morning. But I have so many friends that they're like, oh yeah, I watched this and this and this and this and this. Like, how do you have time to do that? How do you have time? I still haven't watched the Dark Crystal prequel. I'm one of the biggest Henson fans you're going to meet. Like, there's Henson everywhere here. My nickname is Magical Muppet, for the love of God. And I don't even have time to watch that stuff. I don't understand how people can get through all these shows. I know. Hi, Joey. I thought I saw you on there. I know. I'm gonna watch Mandalorian. Joey Isabel is on here, who is the brilliant mind behind 6 Minutes, which we will be promoting again once that gets released. Yeah, they will miss out. That's the thing, is I'm all about Mandalorian. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'm totally into it. I'm also a bit of a Yoda fan. I have a little Yoda section over here. It's very Henson in here, with some Deadpool and Mr. Robot, and there's a little Yoda section just right over here. It's all my little Yodas. I have an old 80s Yoda sitting right there. And of course, Baby Yoda, which came out of Mandalorian. And this is one area where I was surprised. 8 years of marketing at Disney. I was so surprised they weren't prepared for this. So The Mandalorian premiered, and everyone saw this Baby Yoda. And even I know about the Baby Yoda and everything else. The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, and people lost their minds. Memes, GIFs, all kinds of things popping out. And then there's word that Disney didn't have any merch ready for the holidays, and it was like, really, Disney? Because here's the thing, if you're not aware how a lot of things at Disney work, they work backwards from merch. Now, I'm exaggerating that, but not as much as you would think. They work backwards from Disney consumer products. Pretty much. They didn't have anything prepared. Well, everyone wanted stuff, so of course they had to throw together some stuff. And let me tell you, it's not cool. It's basically like a high school screen printing class, and it's like they just screen printed them on there. Like it's not high quality products that you would expect from Disney. And it's basically the same picture of Baby Yoda just thrown on a bunch of products. That's what we're looking at. And we do know that there will not be any Baby Yoda dolls in time for the holidays. And because I know I'm going to get messages from people. People love to send me messages about how wrong I am. I am aware that it's not Baby Yoda. That is just the name that's being given to the thing that looks like Baby Yoda. Oh, they were trying. See, that's the problem. Yeah, but you can still do it. You can still do it internally. I mean, geez, Chris, Elena knew that Baby Yoda existed. Like people know this. I've signed so many freaking confidentiality agreements when I was at Disney. You have no idea. They used to collect phones. We were going in to see screenings before films and television shows came out. So I would say don't go out and buy a bunch of Baby Yoda stuff just yet. But there will be some good stuff coming, because that's the thing. I always joke about how greedy Disney is and blah blah blah. They know what they're doing. And honestly, I wouldn't mind a little baby, especially when I finally watch The Mandalorian, I love it, which at least like it. Like, I'm sure I will, because everyone loves it. I'm gonna at least enjoy it and like it. I'm not gonna love it as much as Mr. Robot. Oh God, I couldn't even pack in Mr. Robot for this episode. Like, I'm gonna do an entire, probably 2 episodes just on Mr. Robot. But I'd love to have a Baby Yoda sitting here in the studio, especially if it's like a Furby thing. I actually had one of those Furby Yodas years ago. Somebody gave it to me for Christmas. I don't even know what happened to it. And more news on Baby Yoda, which isn't even really news, but I just want to bring it up because here is the ridiculousness of Disney. And honestly, I don't even know if this was their fault. So Giphy, if you're not familiar with that, you can actually find a GIF of yours truly on Giphy. I've used it. I have GIFs of my lovely face on Giphy. Oh, that's so true. That's what it is, Baby Shark. Because Baby Shark's so popular, Baby Yoda just makes sense. That's a good call, Joey. But the Baby Yoda GIFs, Giphy actually pulled down a bunch of them. Not a bunch of them. They pulled down all of them. They were down for like a day, and then suddenly they reappeared, and Giphy came out and said, "Oh, we're so sorry for the confusion," and they apologized to Disney. And here's the thing. Nobody really knows why they got taken down in the first place. Now, of course, the thought was, well, Disney got their lawyers on it and everything else. We are talking about the company that sued a preschool for having Disney characters painted on the walls. Look it up. It's 100% true. They sued a preschool to get them to remove paintings of Disney characters. Yeah, because that's taken away from your bottom line, Disney. Preschoolers. They would have a field day in Highland Park here, my neighborhood. All the freaking ice cream trucks have, like, SpongeBob and Mickey and Minnie painted on them, and they're like, not even a poor man's Mickey or Minnie, just like, whoa, that Mickey needs to be put out to pasture type. I mean, Disney lawyers would have a field day here. So I get it, but I don't think this was Disney. Like, this is helping awareness of Baby Yoda, you know. And like Chris said, they were trying to keep it under wraps, but now that it's out, man, yeah, do it. You know, gifts, all the things. Oh man. All right, some more. We're so Disney heavy today. This is the last Disney thing for now, though. Frozen 2. Frozen 2 just hit the box office last weekend, I think it was. Last Friday? Yeah, it had to be last Friday. It wasn't this Friday because it's not Friday yet, and it's already hit the box office. Frozen 2 has, of course, broken some records. It actually did, opening weekend did $130 million domestically, $228.2 million internationally, for an opening weekend of $358.2 million, and it's still tracking heavy. You know they're going to hit the Thanksgiving week crowd, and I'm not surprised in the least. Frozen has such a big following, and there was so much talk of, like, it's been 6 years since the last Frozen. No. I mean, my kid wasn't even alive when Frozen was in theaters, and she's obsessed. She's absolutely obsessed. She's got like 3 Annas and a couple of Elsas. Oh, you did? Did you love it, Chris? Chris just got back from seeing it with the girls. I think that's gonna be my my 3-year-old's first movie in the theater. Working on it now, but of course, killing it, and I'm eager to see it. I'm also really eager. You know, one thing I will say about Frozen, I didn't love the first one. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. And here's the thing, that one kind of took Disney by surprise. They didn't expect that one to do as well as it did. They didn't expect it to do terribly. We're not talking John Carter here, but they didn't expect it to do as well as it did. Kind of similar to High School Musical, and it just took off, and then they ran with it. But what I really do love about it is it's not a princess being saved by a prince, or, you know, doesn't need a man to come to her rescue. Now, people that know the movie are like, well, Kristoff, and it's like, yes, he helped her, but he didn't save Anna. You know, it's very powerful if you have daughters. You know, they see that there doesn't have to be a Prince Charming or anything along those lines. And I'm sure there's other Disney movies that way, but I really enjoy that about Frozen. Specifically is that it's not all about like Prince Charming coming to kiss Sleeping Beauty and wake her up, and it's all, oh, he did this. No. It's all about, it's the relationship of two sisters. And I know Frozen 2 is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's crazy. Like, I'm not a huge Disney movie fan. I'm looking forward to Frozen 2. All right, Victoria's Secret. We got news from Victoria's Secret, the parent company for Victoria's Secret, that the fashion show, the annual fashion show, Victoria's Secret fashion show, has officially been canned. No more Victoria's Secret fashion show. This is, of course, following some outrage from a lot of people. I believe I talked about this like a year ago when there was some controversy with the head of Victoria's Secret saying some very, very insensitive things. So we kind of knew this was going to happen. And you know what? Is anyone going to miss the Victoria's Secret fashion show? No. And to any of you out there, if you are going to miss the Victoria's Secret fashion show, I've got a word of advice for you. Just go on the internet like all the other perverts out there. Plenty of half-naked women, naked women, men too, but Victoria's Secret's women, that you can find on the internet. Go perv out on that. I don't need it on my television when my 3-year-old could be, you know, walking by or something. That's not a positive thing for a 3-year-old. Which reminds me too, I think it was like Dove or somebody, they did this like side by side, and it, like they had the Victoria's Secret angels, and then they had just like regular women wearing like underwear or whatever, and not like overly sexy underwear, and it was like, which one do you, and I can't remember what it was, but it was about body positivity. I remember looking at it and I was like, there's no question the women in the other photo are so much more attractive. They're not sticks walking around, you know, like that's what you get with Victoria's Secret. So perverts, just go use the internet. We don't need Victoria's Secret fashion show on network television. We just don't need it. Don't need it. All right, some music news. That's right, some music news. Punk Rock Bowling and Punk and Drublic. We've gotten announcements. Announcements for Punk and Drublic are still coming out, dates and everything. We've got some dates and some bands and everything else. But we do have a full lineup and dates for Punk Rock Bowling. They're in Vegas. A ton of great bands, including the Barstool Preachers. I'm actually wearing my Barstool Preachers hoodie tonight. Thank you to my good friend and sister, Laura. She bought this for me for my birthday. One of my favorite bands out there right now is Barstool Preachers. They are playing, and I don't want to say more importantly, but for many of you, possibly more importantly, at Punk Rock Bowling in Vegas in May, we're going to get the reunion of the Circle Jerks. There's a band that has not played together in many, many years. They are reuniting for Punk Rock Bowling, as well as some of the Punk and Drublic dates. So check that out. If you're interested. Pennywise is on a bunch of them, Face to Face, Real Big Fit. There's it's crazy. I think I'll be heading to Vegas in May to check out Punk Rock Bowling. Just no question. And Chris, I don't know if Bridget is also watching, but hopefully she caught this the other night. And if not, I think you can catch it on YouTube now. I got it on ABC. The American Music Awards were the other night. I believe Sunday. I don't follow these awards shows. I don't even watch the Oscars anymore, to be honest. I have no interest in even the Oscars. And the Oscars, at one time, that was the only awards show I watched. But the American Music Awards were the other night. And I believe it was to open the show. Green Day came out for a live performance. They actually played Father of All, their first single off the forthcoming album that will be out in January, I believe is January. Father of All. And then they moved on from that into Basket Case. And that's right. To celebrate the you want to feel old? Do you want to feel old? To celebrate the 25th anniversary of Green Day Dookie, their album that was released 25 years ago, really shot them to stardom. They played Basket Case, which was fantastic. It's amazing that these guys are getting up there in age, but man, they can still kill it. Great live performance. And Basket Case, for me personally, I have a special place in my heart for Basket Case, just because if you're not aware what Basket Case is about, do a little Googling. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with that. We're not even to mental health yet, but Google it. It's very much about anxiety and Billy Joe Armstrong's personal experiences with anxiety. A little more music news. Weezer, who we will be seeing live in July here at Dodger Stadium, myself as well as Chris and Bridget Hassan, and some others too, but I mentioned Chris and Bridget because they are on-air producers. Weezer, they've actually released a new song. They put together a song for the Frozen 2 soundtrack. That's right, the Frozen 2 soundtrack. In the movie, it's actually sung by the actor who voices Kristoff. However, you can find the song on YouTube if you're interested in checking out that Weezer song. And Chris, I don't know if you noticed, but during credits, they actually play the Weezer version of this song from Frozen 2. So check that out. Little Weezer, little Frozen 2, little Best of Both Worlds. Check that out. I'm a Weezer fan. Not as big as a lot of the other bands that I listen to, but I do enjoy some Weezer. And like I said, paid a lot of money to see them live with 3 other bands upcoming here in July. Long time from now, but really I'm going to see Interrupters and Green Day. But it's a nice little bonus to have Weezer and Fall Out Boy. You know, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to enjoy it. All right, one more thing in music news that I want to talk about. I want to give a gigantic shout out to the Bomb Pops. I love the Bomb Pops. Really, like I had a post a little while, like a week or two ago. They're just some of the nicest people that you're going to come across. We're talking fantastic music, awesome live shows, just awesome live shows. In fact, they played a new track. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last episode, which is fantastic. They got new albums coming out next year at some point. But I really want to give a big shout out to Jen from the Bomb Pops. We saw them 2 weeks ago on November 16th, right 2 days before my birthday. We saw them open up for Save Ferris. I also saw some Save Ferris down there at Garden Grove Amphitheater, which is a nice little venue if you're interested. Just prepare yourself. There's seats, not much of a pit. I will say that we were running a little late, and literally we're walking in the door and we could hear the Bomb Pops start, and Laura and I we started sprinting down to the pit. Not much of a pit there. But the main reason I bring this up is huge shout out to Jen. We talked to her after their set. We're hanging out by the merch table. She's incredibly nice, which I've known because we met her before. But I was also telling her about my 3-year-old, who my wife had said to her, my 3-year-old is a huge fan of yours at a show, like 5-6 weeks ago. And I was jokingly saying, oh my gosh, my wife was so embarrassed. And she wasn't super embarrassed, but she was embarrassed. And we're joking around. And we're talking about, my 3-year-old daughter, and she was, what's her name? And I said, Sophia. And she goes, oh my gosh, do you think she would like if I recorded a, quick video for her and just said, hi, Sophia, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh my God, she would love that. So Jen literally, like right after her show, she's hanging out with us. One of the nicest people you're going to meet, along with all of them. I mean, Josh, Neil, Polly, they're all fantastic people. And not to mention Riley and Maureen selling merch out there for them. She took the time to do this right after her set. I stood there, recorded. She said, hi, Sophia. And I can't remember the exact words without looking at it. Hi, Sophia. I'm so glad to hear you're a fan. Hope you can come out to one of our shows, soon. And just one of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet. So shout out to all the Bomb Pops, but especially Jen and Josh. If you happen to listen to this episode, I swear the next time I see you, I will take a photo with you, and I will make sure to post that photo as well. Because we're jokingly... I couldn't have talked about it on the last episode because I haven't had it. We're sitting outside with all of them, and Laura and I are kind of talking to Josh and like half talking to Neil or whatever, and they come over to Jen and Polly, these 4 girls, young girls, like late teens at the most. Young girls come over and they're like, "Can we take a picture?" And Neil's kind of standing there and they're looking for someone to hand the phone to, and they kind of turn to Neil and they didn't quite ask, but Neil was like, yeah, sure, I'll take the picture." I'm going. This is right after Josh, the drummer of the band, goes, "Yeah, no one ever wants to take pictures with us." And I'm just like, oh my God. So I turn to the girls, I'm like, take a picture with the whole band. So they did actually take a picture with the whole band. But word of advice for you out, even if you're not a huge fan of a band, don't ask someone in the band to take a picture of you with someone else in the band. That's rude. It's quite rude. Take a picture with everyone. whole band, or individually. That being said, I took a picture of Jen that particular evening and did not take a picture with Josh or Neil. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's move on to some mental health. We're running a little short on time. But you know what? We're going to get through it. I really thought this would be a shorter episode, but it never happens. I don't know why I try to think these things. It just never happens. All right, mental health. I've got a couple of really important things to talk about here. Now, first off, if you're not aware of this, in California this past Monday, the state of California launched the first free statewide mental health line. That's right, statewide mental health line. This is for non-emergency mental health issues. If you are feeling suicidal, or you are with someone who is feeling suicidal, you call 911. That's period 911. If you're feeling that way, it is 911. If you know someone's feeling that way, 911. That's it. However, if you just need a little counseling, you need someone to talk to. You know, you're having anxiety that day, or your depression, whatever it might be. There is now this line free to anyone in California, and that number is 855-845-7415. Again, 855-845-7415 for non-emergency mental health help. And goddamn, I love my state of California. Never leaving this state. I'm just not. I see things like this, and goddamn, I love it here. Never going anywhere. It's got its problems. You know, we got some freaking traffic and everything else. But where the hell else are you going to go? Nowhere. All right. I want to give a huge shout out to... a lot of shout outs today, huh? Huge shout out to Brandon Brooks, he's a offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles. Recently, I think it was last weekend actually, he started the game for the Philadelphia Eagles and had to come out of the game for illness. Well, we go to find out that this was actually an anxiety-induced illness that he was experiencing. And he couldn't play football, couldn't see straight anymore, couldn't play. Had to come out of the game. And instead of making excuses, he came out and was open about it. Was completely open about it. And he said something similar to what I say a lot of times. It's just, if somebody out there hears me talking about my own personal experiences with mental illness and mental health, one person, then it's worth it. And that's Brandon Brooks' thinking here. Is he's trying to help anyone out there. And we need more people like this. We don't need more people to have mental illness, to have anxiety problems, to struggle with mental health. We don't need that. But we need the people that do struggle with those things to be open about it. If you have a platform, be open about it. And that's what he's doing here. And especially someone like Brandon Brooks. He is an offensive lineman in the NFL. He is a giant human being. A manly human being by everyone's standards. Manly. He's a professional athlete in the National Football League. And even he's willing to be open about it. So thank you, Brandon Brooks, for your honesty. And I hope that you can continue to deal with this and continue to have a career like you have. He's actually a very, very, very good football player. He is a Pro Bowler for those of you out there, because you don't hear a lot about offensive linemen. He is a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, actually technically the highest paid guard in the National Football League. Not tackle. I know I just lost half my audience there, but guard. Tackles do get paid a little bit more. And Chris is like, well, yeah, tackles get paid a little bit more. And the rest of my audience is like, what? What's the difference between a guard and a tackle? They're all offensive linemen. They're giant human beings. That's all you need to know. All right. Supergirl. Melissa, and I'm not going to butcher her last name, Benoist. God, I need to look up the pronunciation. I'm always just running around on this has happened before on a podcast. So I mentioned at the top of the podcast, hashtag I stand with Melissa. She was completely honest in a 14-minute Instagram video where she talked about being the victim of domestic violence. Or to be more specific, something called IPV, Intimate Partner Violence. This is something that revolves more around psychology, can also be physically abusive. So it's not that it does not include physical abuse, but it's a lot of mental abuse, psychological abuse, and really just overstepping those bounds and then kind of backing off, which you hear a lot about in domestic violence cases. where a husband will beat a wife or wife will beat a husband, and then they will literally hit them, and then they come back and say, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it." And this is more of a psychological side of that, this IPV, where you're making someone feel bad for doing something that's very normal to do. For example, she was talking about how this individual would get upset with her if she even was in a scene on set with another man. Would get upset. I mean, this is absolutely infuriating to hear things like this. But I'm glad to hear that Melissa is getting help and is moving past it. And much like Brandon Brooks here, she is using her platform to inform other people of this. And I got to be honest with you. There's actually I have a long blog post that's going to be put up, and I've hinted at this before. I've been in this situation, not to the extent that Melissa has here. If you read this article, I don't want to get into all the details of it. Not to this extent, but I've been there with that kind of psychological, mental abuse, and people like myself are it's very easy to get someone who suffers from mental illness kind of into that mode. And I've been there, literally in a relationship with a female who was 4 feet 11 inches. I had over a foot on her, but she was mentally abusive to me, and at times physically abusive. Not as abused as Melissa was. I mean, we were talking about 100 pounds versus 200 pounds, but literally would get physically abusive and psychologically abusive. So I've been there, and I know a lot of people out there have been there. And I'm glad that, again, not happy that Melissa Benoist had to go through this, but I'm happy that she's using that platform to help other people out there. Because if one person's helped from this, I'm sure she would say the same thing. Just like Brandon Brooks, Melissa Benoist would say the same thing. If one person's helped, it was worth me coming out and talking about it. And we need more of that. More of it. All right, I'm actually going to save some of this. No, I'm going to save this one. But I do want to talk about this. There was a survey that went out, and the survey questioned people traveling for the holidays and found that 1 in 4 people have actually hidden from their relatives on a particular holiday. I saw that and I was shocked. I was actually shocked that it was only 1 in 4. I would have thought 2, 2.5 in 4. Not that you're going to have a half a person, but genuinely 1 in 4. That seemed, Benoist. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you. So I'm doing it wrong. Benoist. And this is I'm always running around. I don't do those things. Like look up the pronunciation. I've literally done it on a podcast episode before. But again, this 1 in 4 hide from people at a holiday function, and it's unfortunate. I get it. I've been there myself. Not necessarily with my parents. But with extended family, I was doing that when I was a teenager. Yeah, holidays in Chicago. I'm sure my family didn't notice most of the time, but I would literally disappear for like 2 hours during a holiday event. You're like, oh, outside, somewhere else. And then, of course, we roll that into what the Orange Menace Jr. has been doing lately. He decided to put out a little contest. That's right, a little contest where he encouraged people to bring up politics at their holiday events and specifically trigger a liberal. I'm not gonna talk about the fucking triggering thing anymore. I'm not. You know where I stand on that. It's incredibly insensitive. I mean, not only is this stupid son of a bitch just overall insensitive, but then there's other words you can fucking use. You don't need to use trigger. That's not. It's very insulting. It's very insulting. But I'm going to put that aside for now. He wants people to share their videos or their pictures of people getting upset at the holidays, and then they will receive a signed copy of his book as well as a Make America Great Again hat. So here's what we have. A survey that says 1 in 4 people actually hide from their relatives during the holidays. And we have this stupid son of a bitch using his platform to encourage other people to hurt other people. I'm so fucking sick of the fucking Orange Menace and his fucking children. It's disgusting. This is the world that we live in. And if you're someone out there that thinks this is funny, stay the fuck off my fucking podcast. Because this is disgusting. Orange Menace Jr. encouraging violence and controversy between family members during the holidays. This is worse than Black Friday. This is worse than going to shopping on Thanksgiving at 5 o'clock for Black Friday. This is much worse. Much worse. And that's why people hide. Here's my genuine word of advice for anyone out there. Just don't bring it up. Because here's the thing. If you have relatives that are Orange Menace fans and they worship at the Orange Menace temple, they're Trumpers, at this point, there's nothing you can say to change their mind. Maybe 2.5 years ago, there could have been something. Now, there's nothing you can say to change their mind. They're not coming back from that. And if you're an Orange Menace fan and you're somehow listening to this podcast, which is weird, but that's fine, your relatives that don't like him, they're not going to change their minds either. So don't waste your time. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the holidays. You don't have your family forever. Unfortunately, life is fragile and people do pass away. So don't waste your time on that. Don't. Or just don't go. You know, there doesn't need to be an argue. Either go and you just don't bring it up, or don't go. That's how it should go. And speaking of more important things, I want to share this. And Chris, I don't know if you've seen this, because I feel like you would have come across it, but you should show this to Bridget, because I think she would enjoy the article. I mean, I cried. Matthew Berry, who is a broadcaster on ESPN. I'm not talking about Matthew Berry, the fantasy football show host. I'm talking about Matthew Berry, the father. He put out an article on November 14th talking about his young daughter, how he was literally on set at ESPN, got a call from his daughter's school and could hear his daughter screaming in the background. And they said, there's been a problem. Can you please come and meet your daughter at the hospital? There's an ambulance coming to pick her up right now. And they sent a teacher and a principal in the ambulance with his daughter, his 7-year-old daughter, I believe she was. I didn't look through details again, because I'll tell you, I read this article and I was bawling. And he even talked about how he could hear his daughter, and thank God he could hear his daughter, because that meant she was still alive. And that, unfortunately, is the world that we live in. You get a call from a school, and there has to be a thought of, has my child been killed by a mass shooter? Fortunately, she wasn't. However, she did break both of her arms, falling 7 feet off the jungle gym. They took her to the hospital. He rushed to the hospital from ESPN. Fortunately, everyone at ESPN was understanding and told him to get out of there. He went to the hospital. He found his daughter in the emergency room, hospital room, and just didn't know what to do. And she looked at him and she said, "Daddy, I want to hug you, but my arms are broken." And I read that line, and especially looking at Orange Menace Jr. and all the bullshit and all everything that goes on in the world, she just wanted to hug her daddy, and she couldn't because her arms were broken. I lost it. I don't. What do you even say to that? Yeah. But I encourage everyone out there to read that article. I shared it to my own personal Facebook page, I think, but maybe we'll go ahead and share it on the Go Tell It to the Wall page as well. I'm gonna save this. Actually, I'm just gonna. There's two new brick and mortar Toys R Us stores that are opening. One in New Jersey, which is opening this weekend, and then there's one in Houston that is opening at the beginning of December. There are plans for more in the future. The Toys R Us executives, the new Toys R Us, which is like True Toys, they renamed it. They are looking at properties to open more brick and mortar stores. All right, we are over time, so I want to kick through all of these things, and I'm gonna Melissa Benoist. Jesus, I've got to have it in my head because I really love her. She's great too, and all great things like this coming out. I mean, like I said, unfortunately she had to go through that, but using her platform, Benoist. I'm just gonna put it in my head. A couple tech things here I want to talk about. Twitter and inactive accounts. Twitter announced earlier this week that they were going to start purging inactive accounts. These were accounts that hadn't tweeted anything or done anything for 6 months. Then, of course, there was some backlash on this, which made sense. People were worried about Twitter accounts of deceased people disappearing and not having the comfort of being able to go to that Twitter page, whatever it is, and see that deceased friend, family, whatever it might be, see their actual tweets and kind of see them, I guess, living. I don't know. I don't know. It does make sense to me though, especially because we have this with Facebook. There's something in Facebook. They have this memorialization thing. I have a friend who passed away. Oh my God, 8-9 years ago. Suddenly, and his page still exists, his Facebook page. My grandmother Her Facebook page still exists. She passed away, Jesus, a year and a half ago. No, 2.5, yeah, Jesus, 2 years ago. Time flies, guys. So I get it, and Twitter did come out and say they're going to find a way to be able to memorialize some of these accounts that are from deceased people, but they are going to start purging accounts as well, which makes sense to me. Like, you can't just have all these dead accounts sitting out there, and it's not even just because of getting the name that you were trying to get years ago. It's more just like, you cut the dead leaves off the plant, and I don't mean the deceased people. I mean, you have a lot of people that join Twitter, and then they use it twice, and then they just forget that Twitter's even a thing, and they never use it again. That's more what I'm talking about. Google's got a deal going on right now. Chromebook and Disney Plus. Coming up here, if you buy an eligible Chromebook, you're going to get 3 months free of Disney Plus. You got to redeem it by the end of January 2020, so look for that as well if you're in the market for a Chromebook and you get 3 months of Disney Plus, which of course you're going to have to put in your credit card and you're going to end up paying for Disney Plus after that 3 months is up. But, if you're a Disney fan, you got The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, freaking Muppet. There's new Muppets content coming out, all the freaking Disney movies. I finally watched Endgame. It was fine, but it was definitely... And on that note, Avengers Endgame is definitely Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back for the Marvel Universe. I love Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. This isn't an insult, but that's what it was. It was literally like, ooh, nostalgia in your face. Here's more nostalgia in your face. Oh, more nostalgia in your face. And you're like, cool, that's great. Like, I enjoyed it. It's just, like, call it what it is, Marvel fans. And speaking of Disney Plus, they have added a continue watching feature. So for those of you that are having trouble tracking your episodes, which this totally makes sense to me, you're just gonna have a different tab where you go in and it's like, this was the movies you were watching recently, and you can pick them up right there. Because, like I said, I don't even know how people watch all these damn things. How do you keep track of what you're freaking watching? It's extra added stuff. Can't do it. That's why I like Hulu, because it's like, oh, you were watching this, and I'm like, sweet, I was watching that. Now I can finish watching it. Like, that's how it should work. All right, we had to skip a couple things, but I'm going to go ahead and throw those into next week's episode. We will be back next week, same wall place, same wall time. I think we're done with breaks until the holiday break, which happens every year. Christmas to New Year's, there's no episode. That is me time with my family, my beautiful daughter, my beautiful wife, and extended family and everything else. So that's not happening. But we will have an episode next week, episode 117. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. @TellTheWallPod is our official Go Tell It to the Wall Twitter account. @TellTheWallPod, as well as @MagicMuppet. That's my own personal Twitter account. @MagicMuppet. That's right. Head on over to Facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. That's our official Facebook page. Going to keep you up to date. Chris and Bridget keeping things in line on there, as opposed to Twitter, where it's me just flying by the seat of my pants, and sometimes I have a couple too many beers and I'm like, rah, 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 rah. Does that even make sense? No, it doesn't make sense at all. I actually don't do that a lot on Twitter. I don't use Twitter a lot. And of course, YouTube, head over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, subscribe to our page, and most importantly would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com, where you'll find the links to all of those things that I just mentioned, as well as our Patreon campaign. And if you're so inclined to follow my own personal Instagram account, SoCalSean, @SoCalSean, SoCalSean. Yeah, I got a badass Instagram handle. I don't know how I got that. It's so hard to get anything with Sean in it. Yeah, but I got it. Like I said, there will be an episode next week, and it will be December. Good Lord, it's going to be December. So we will be back next week. And remember, Wall fans, common sense. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. This has been episode 116 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I'm your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And remember, Wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, no matter what you do, no matter who you're with, no matter where you go, and especially no matter why you are doing it, always use common sense. All right, Wall fans, common sensors, social media world. Happy Thanksgiving, Chris. Happy holidays, Joey. It's great to have you guys on. There was a lot of people cycling in and out. And it's funny, I meant to send Chris, you and Bridget a reminder, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this on Wednesday, and I mentioned it things are just melding together at this point. And just to give you an idea of how my week's been going, I've been pulling out Christmas decorations while simultaneously cleaning my garage. It's a scene. It's a scene down there. That's all I need to know. It's a scene down there. trying to get through it. So I'm exhausted. I'm a little bit looking forward to just eating a bunch of turkey tomorrow and enjoying myself and probably having a little more Sam Adams New England IPA because it's tasty. I'm going to go have another one right now, actually. Like I said, we'll be back next week with the live feed on Facebook. Same wall place, same wall time. Not same as this week because it's Wednesday. We'll be back Thursday next week. Our normal day. No reason not to be on a Thursday. And remember, wall fans, Common Sensor social media world, if you've got complaints, go tell them to a wall.